We're now live.
Okay, I am going to call the Wednesday Camarillo 26 council meeting, sanitary district, and Camarillo Library Board to order. It's a little bit different than what we've done in the past, but we're going to do all these simultaneously at this point. I want to welcome everybody to, as our ex-mayor and council member Stan Daly used to say, welcome to our new digs. And boy, are these nice new digs. And I'll have more to say about it at the 5 o'clock. But at this particular point, I'm going to ask our city clerk to do a roll call, please.
Councilmember Martinez Bravo.
Here.
Councilmember Santangelo.
Here.
Councilmember Tremblay. Here. Vice Mayor Tennyson.
Here.
And Mayor Kildee.
Here. Thank you. So, Ms. Santangelo, would you do us the favor of doing the flag salute tonight, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, so with that, we have closed session items. I'm going to ask our counselor, if you please, for the public and our benefit, the reasons why we're going into closed session, please.
Certainly, and if I'll just note for the record that the roll was also for the CSD and for the library board. Yes, we have 3 items on closed session. The first item is Ventura County citizens against Mega Gas versus the city, and this is a city council closed session. We have 2 items for the Camarillo Sanitary District, and that's the CSD versus California Regional Water Quality Control Board. And the third item is the Camarillo Sanitary District versus the State Water Resources Control Board. And if there's any reportable action, I will make that report later. Thank you.
Okay, so with that, we're going to go into closed session. We'll be back at 5. We'll recess.
We're now live.
To reconvene the meetings at this time. And I'm going to ask our city clerk again to do a roll call, if you would.
Councilmember Martinez Bravo,
Here?
Councilmember Santangelo,
Here.
Councilmember Tremblay, Vice Mayor Tennyson,
Here.
and Mayor Kildee.
Here. Okay, if the public will allow me to indulge a little bit, and my colleagues on the council and our employees that are here, I just want to talk a little bit about our new council chambers here, our new older council chambers that have been obviously completely revamped. It's my pleasure to welcome everyone back here. It's been, I think, about a year, if my math is correct, about 16 months, I think it took to complete this, or thereabouts. Don't hold me to that number, but thereabouts. And we were able to meet at the Camarillo Public Library in the meantime. We're really thrilled to be back to the chambers here. And the council actually has been conducted here since 1977. And I was talking a little bit, I've been around for a while, Vice Mayor Tennyson. And when we built this facility, I believe it was built in 1976, and we were able to pay cash for it. And it was such a big news story that back then, CNBC Channel 4 actually came up and did a segment on their 6 o'clock news. And that's when you knew Camarillo had kind of really made the grade here. The recent remodel reflects our commitment to progress and inclusivity. It includes cutting-edge technology. We've got a lot of screens all around here. It's going to be hard-pressed not to find a screen. It's also going to improve. It's got wheelchair accessibility here, assisted listening devices. These enhancements ensure that our chambers are welcoming and accessible to everyone, and we welcome everyone to our council chambers here. And this project was made possible thanks to dedication and collaboration of many people, and I'm sure I'm going to miss some. But I want to especially talk about the city staff who worked tirelessly to make this happen. Also, the individuals from the construction crew working several days on this at all kinds of odd hours in the day here. And your tireless efforts have not gone unnoticed, and this is going to be something that is going to take us generations and generations into this wonderful facility here. And it's a space that we can all be proud of. So, welcome. All right, approval of the agenda. There are no changes on the agenda, so I'm going to come back right now to the, remember, we're all new, so a little echo here. General public comments. Is there any public that would like to? All right, so general public comments. Any public want to say anything at this particular point? Okay, so we'll move on to council staff commitments and intergovernmental reports. Yeah, it is. I think it kind of comes and goes. Again, it's new. We're working with all the technology here. Just be patient with me tonight. Okay, so council staff and comments and intergovernmental governmental reports. Would anybody like to start? Susan, do you want to start with us tonight?
I'll start. I'll be short. I was not here at the last council meeting, so back on February 26th, I attended the CPA Finance meeting. And on March 20th, I attended the CPA Executive Committee meeting. And I just wanted to thank my fellow council members for stepping in for me. I appreciate the support so that I can get away with my family. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Ms. Tremblay, anything tonight?
Sure, very briefly, on March 13, I attended the Airport Authority meeting with the mayor. On March 14, I had 2 Metrolink committee meetings for both Executive and Audit Finance Committee. On March 18th, the Groundwater Fox Canyon GMA Fiscal Committee. On March 20, another Metrolink audit meeting, and earlier today, a Fox Canyon GMA board meeting. And that's it for me.
Marchita, anything tonight?
Sure. March 14th, this is for meetings attended. March 14th, I attended the CSUCI Campus and Budget Update. This was President Yao's breakfast briefing with elected officials. There were multiple elected officials there. Excuse me, Supervisor Lopez, Supervisor Long, Ventura County Mayor Dr. Sanchez Palacios, and Assemblymember Bennett's staff. It was a wonderful presentation. March 14th, I also attended the League of Cities Channel Islands Division dinner in Goleta. There was a presentation there with Congressman Salud Carvajal, and I was joined with Councilmember Tennyson and our staff, Alonso Ramirez and Reina. And March 19th, I attended the Ventura County Funders Forum at the VCCF building. That's the Ventura County Community Foundation, Arts and Culture in Ventura County. March 20th, I attended the Economic Development Collaborative. And March 24th, I attended the Investment Committee meeting. And then today, March 26th, for the very first time, I attended the Opioid and Illicit Drug Work Group at the Ventura County Behavioral Health Administration in Oxnard. I was actually invited to this work group by our district attorney, Eric Nazarenko, and it was actually a wonderful work group composed of over 30 agencies who are participating. And just to name some, the Sheriff's Office was there, the DA, Emergency Medical Services, just really good work that they've been doing. And there was a medical examiner's update, a law enforcement update, treatment expansion updates, and also a roundtable report. And what I printed for my fellow council members is the medical examiner's report. So I'll pass these here. We can pass those that way there. And as you get those, it's all in color there for you. But there are some good news that the medical examiner reported. There has been a decrease, a 24.5% decrease since 2023, and a 30.8% decrease since 2021 in the number of overdose deaths. So that is a very good number, and I'm glad the rates are trending downward. The CDC has also reported about a 24% decrease as well in fatal overdoses across the United States. In terms of the data on that, the highest number of overdose deaths and fentanyl deaths was between the ages of 31 to 40 years old. So there's that. And then I also wanted to, I know our mayor thanked our staff and everyone who was involved, but truly my appreciation to every single person who worked on this project, from the vision that they had for our community now that's going to be serving the present and also for future generations, to all the planning that took place, finance that was involved, and truly every single staff member that battled through the different barriers that came to as the project was moving forward. So thank you so much on that. And then I also have some not so good news. So last week I came across an article on the Ventura County Star titled, in quotes, "Mexicans Target of Apparent Hate Crime in Camarillo," end quote. And the article described a very disturbing and hateful incident that took place in our city, in our local agricultural farms. While this is an appalling and unacceptable act, sadly, I was not surprised. I would like to extend my gratitude and my sincere thanks to Camarillo Police Chief Tennyson and the entire Ventura County Sheriff's Office for your swift response and commitment to investigating this incident. In addition, I wanted to thank Chief Tennyson for showing up with your team to support and work closely with the farm worker victims who were impacted. I would also like to express my gratitude to ADL's Regional Director, Mr. Josh Burt, for his immediate response in denouncing this hateful incident. Acts of hate have no place in Camarillo or anywhere else. Terrorizing members of our community, whether they live, work, or play here, is unacceptable, and those responsible will be held accountable. Not only was this a deeply racist act causing terror, emotional distress, and/or racial stress, it had the potential to pose significant risks to the health of everyone consuming produce, as well as a potential harm to the agricultural industry at large. With over 42,000 farm workers in Ventura County, they are vital to our more than $2 billion agricultural industry. We all benefit from their labor as we all eat every single day. I have been in touch with the farm, and in partnership with the nonprofit Friends of Field Workers, we will be offering support to these workers through our nonprofit programming, which includes an on-site visit and delivery of meals and goods. As a daughter of a farm worker myself, I am outraged by this incident. However, I remain hopeful, knowing the majority of our community members denounce hateful acts and stand for love, compassion, and kindness. Thank you.
Thank you. Well said. Vice Mayor Tennyson.
Thank you, Mayor. Well said, Councilmember Martinez Bravo, and I would just like to extend that. There's no place for hate based on race, there's no place for hate based on national origin, and there's no place for hate based on a person's faith and religious worship. We've seen multiple acts of anti-Semitism and things like that in our society for a long time, so I'd like to take your comments and extend them beyond just race. March 13th, I attended Coffee with the Cops on Ventura Boulevard with our fine police department and many community members. I also attended the VCOG board meeting, and VCOG is the Ventura Council of Governments that has a city council member or mayor from all 10 cities, plus a county supervisor to study and address regional issues and try and work together to address them. At that meeting, we approved a contract with our new executive director, David Pollack. David Pollack served many years on the Moore Park Unified School District. He served at least one term with the Moore Park City Council. He was very involved with SCAG, VCTC, Regional Defense Partnership, and Cal Cities. So I think he's going to help us take VCOG to another level, and I'm looking forward to working with him. March 13th, I also attended the Camarillo Academic Olympics Award Ceremony at Monte Vista Middle School, and I got to tell you, we have a lot of bright, scary, smart young people in our community. The jobs they did and all of the competitions they went through are just amazing. I saw so much confidence among these young people that were getting awards that night that went through this arduous process to become awardees. On March 14th, I also went to the League of Cities Channel Islands Counties Division dinner. On March 20th, I had a VCOG Administrative Committee meeting. On March, I'm going to skip over that just for a minute, I think. Let me go down my list. Nope, I'm going to hit it. On March 17th, I participated in a webinar hosted by the California League of Cities on the 2025 legislative update. Interestingly, they've only been in session for a short period of time, and already our legislators in Sacramento have introduced 2,300 bills in this legislative session. And I believe the deadline was the first week of March for them to introduce bills. The scary part of that is it affects all of us. And a lot of these bills are placeholders for something that's later called gut and amend. So it may have a title, but these legislators can take a bill because they introduced it, gut the entire initial reason for the presentation, and amend it to say something completely different and take it through the process. But there were some bills of really significant interest to me, and what I would consider really adverse impact on our city. So I'm going to just highlight a couple of them. I'm going to ask that staff and council and our policy committee review these bills as they go through the legislative hearing process, and for the city to take a position. And many of these will obviously be positions I personally will oppose. One of them, though, I believe SB 329 relates to complaints about alcohol and drug treatment facilities in our residential areas. And I know in the past, we've had some complaints from a drug and alcohol rehab facility in a residential area, a home in Camarillo. And what I come to find out is the city had very little teeth. The city doesn't, they have to get a business license, I believe, but the city doesn't regulate these, the state does. This bill would force the state to do timely investigations into these complaints. It would also, there's also other bills related to this topic, AB 424, AB 492, and Senate Bill, AB is Assembly Bill, Senate Bill 35, some of which would give the cities more authority in conducting site visits with our law enforcement and our code compliance officers, which I think are good. I think the city should have more say in licensure and approving these in our residential areas. Not that I don't agree we need drug treatment facilities, but sometimes they're in a neighborhood that has what I would call a deleterious impact on the rest of the neighbors. One of the bills, there's a senator out of San Francisco named Weiner, and I may be mispronouncing it, but it's Senator Weiner. He has introduced Senate Bill 79, which would require cities to approve higher density residential projects up to 7 stories high near public transit stops. And we happen to have a public transit stop, the Metrolink and Vista bus stop, I believe, right off of Ventura Boulevard. It would limit the use of local development standards on the project and require, I believe, administerial approval, which means our planning and development director would get these plans and have to just approve them. And the city couldn't put any restrictions on height limits up to 7 stories, on off-street parking, or any infrastructure needs to support that much housing in the community. And I just thought, I see an iconic symbol of Camarillo, the St. Mary Magdalene Chapel. Could you imagine right across the street a 7-story residential unit? I can't tolerate it. So I'm hoping, again, staff will watch this closely and that the city will take a strong position opposing it. Senator Weiner, again from San Francisco, introduced Senate Bill 677, which would limit local government's ability to impose objective standards on SB 9 projects that had 1,700 feet net habitable square feet in the floor. It would limit the government's ability to provide setback requirements, height limits, lot coverage limits, et cetera. It would also prohibit local government from collecting impact fees for projects less than 1,750 square feet. Other bills that encroach on local authority, local control, include AB 11 by Assemblymember Lee, AB 507 by Assemblymember Haney, AB 1061, AB 874, Senate Bill 358, Assembly Bill 1154, and Senate Bill 9. So I'm asking staff to closely follow this legislation as it goes through the process, to also set up meetings with council members and our local state elected officials, Senator Lamone, Assemblymember Bennett, and Assemblymember Irwin, so we can vociferously state our opinion of this legislation as it goes forward. I personally see most of these legislative proposals as an attempt to usurp local elected officials. Someone way, way in the past once said the best government is the government closest to the people. Well, I guarantee you, Sacramento is not the government closest to the people of Camarillo. All 5 of us up here have daily interactions with citizens in Camarillo. We are the government closest to the people. Sacramento is tying our hands at every single juncture when it comes to planning and development of our community. If the legislature continues down this path, eventually, city councils and other local government entities will merely become a rubber stamp for Sacramento. Thomas Jefferson said, "The government is best which governs least." And I agree with him wholeheartedly. And with that, Mr. Mayor, I'll get off my soapbox.
All right, well, thank you very much for your comments. Well said. Martita and David, our city, there's no place for any kind of hate of any kind, any shape, and of any form. I'll go down what I did. Wednesday, March 19th, I attended a VRSD meeting. Monday, March 25th, I attended an investment committee meeting. Monday, March 24th, I had the pleasure of speaking to the Spring 2025 Las Personas Community Academy, and it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of really neat residents who want to get to know more about the city, and my compliments to the staff and their hard work putting that event together. David, thanks for bringing up that David Pollock. He's going to do a great job for you. He's a really good person. I've known him for several years. I want to thank all my council members for all of their work that they've done, with the meetings that they've done, that they've attended here. We've had a lot of them, so I appreciate your time with that. Okay, so that's
Mr.
all
Mayor?
of my comments. Yes, Vice Mayor.
Could I just add one more
Absolutely.
thing? I'm going to ask council tonight to adjourn in the memory of James Walker, a longtime volunteer in the community, and I'll talk more about him at the end of the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's going to get us down the consent calendar for all of them.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, we have the library activities update.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that. Where is the library activities? We sure do. Library activity, oh, there she is. So I'm used to having her down here, so I got to look to my left now. Proceed, Mandy. Thank
Good
you.
evening, City Council and members of the Library Board. Earth Month is celebrated in April, and to promote the city's sustainability master plan, the library will offer various sustainable education workshops, including a gardening basic course for adults and kids, as well as a tomato time gardening workshop. The library will also host a special Firewise Living from Structure to Landscape program on Tuesday, April 29th, with a certified master gardener who will cover vegetation management for wildfire-prone regions. Library staff is also promoting National Financial Literacy Month in April with a focus on financial education geared towards teenagers. Library staff will host a 3-week workshop series that will cover banking, borrowing, and budget every Thursday at 4 p.m. In addition, our business services coordinator will host a workshop to help prepare teens to land a summer job on Wednesday, April 2nd. We hope that by providing these services, teens will be better equipped to make smart financial decisions at an early age. This concludes my report, and I'm happy to address any questions.
Any questions from anybody? I have a comment. I did attend the Certified Master Gardener, and if you get a chance, those in the public and those that are listening and councilmen, if you get a chance to attend that, it's really, really interesting, very, very informative. So I hope I can make that.
I hope so too.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else with anything with the library? Okay, so now that gets us down to the consent calendar. There's a motion and there's a second. Would you like to do a roll call, please? Carrie?
Councilmember Martinez Bravo,
Yes.
Councilmember Santangelo,
Yes.
Councilmember Tremblay, Vice Mayor Tennyson,
Yes.
and Mayor Kildee.
Yes. All right. So that gets us down to item M, our discussion items with the City Council and the Camarillo Sanitary District. And item M is going to be the 2024-25 water and sewer rate study. And I'll ask Pam, is she going to?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council and
there
sanitary
she
board.
is.
This item tonight is an authorization to begin the Proposition 218 process, which is the public participation process that will end with a public hearing on May 14th, at which time any new water and sewer rates will be considered. And we have Pam Townsend, Assistant Finance Director, to give a brief presentation with the overview of the process.
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. It's my pleasure to be here with you again to discuss the water and sewer rate study. Specifically, today we're going to be asking for authorization of the Prop 218 notices. But first, let's take a look at where we've been and what we've done so far. We began this rate study back in the fall of 2024. Since then, we have had 5 utility committee meetings. We've had 2 city council meetings, and here we are today for our 3rd city council meeting. Looking forward, assuming that council authorizes the 218 notices today, we will send those on March 28th. That's Friday. After we send those out, we've set aside 2 dates for informational open houses at both the library and these beautiful chambers on April 8th and April 26th. On May 14th, we will have the public hearing, and on May 28th, we'll have a second reading of the ordinance. And all of this is working towards a rate effective date of July 1. So first things first, let's take a look at our history and what we've covered so far. Last time we were here, we talked about what makes up the rates, things that affect your rates. The first is available cash. So how much money do we have in cash on hand to do what we need to do? The next is anticipated revenues. How much money do we expect to get? The next is operational expenditures. So what do we need to do our day-to-day business and get our operations? And lastly, we have to take a look at capital expenditures, any big projects that are coming in the next few years, and make sure that we have proper funding in order to fund those projects. And all of those things together make up our proposed rates. We also talked about the specific cost factors affecting water. On the water side, we have a number of factors that are affecting our rates, including rising operational costs, including things like purchased water. We also talked about reduced water demand. That is a reduction of anticipated revenues, so we're seeing a reduction in the demand. Next is capital costs. We have a number of capital projects that we are anticipating on the water side. And we also have some dwindling cash reserves that we need to be mindful of. On the sewer side, it's a little bit of an easier story. The primary driver of the cost increases on the sewer side are largely related to significant anticipated capital projects. We discussed that this was a generational investment in infrastructure. We do also see some rising operational costs on the sewer side as well, but the primary driver is capital. And what we're here today to discuss is the Prop 218 notices. So what are those? Well, the Prop 218 notices are notices that are mailed out to property owners and tenants. Once they are sent out, that initiates our 45-day period for objections and protests. It's going to inform customers of the proposed increases and explain why they're necessary. It's going to outline important dates, including those 2 information sessions and also the public hearing date. And it's required by law in order to raise rates. So again, looking ahead, here we are March 26th, that's tonight. April 8th and April 26th, we have those open houses. All of the information for that will be outlined in the Prop 218 notices going out to customers. On May 14th, we have the public hearing to consider those rates. And on May 28th, we have the second reading of that ordinance. And then on July 1st, we have the rates going into effect. And with that, we'd like to ask for council to authorize staff to initiate the 218 notices and mail those out to customers. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from any council members at this time? No.
I don't have questions. I just have a comment.
I'm sorry?
I don't have any questions. I'll just say.
Any
She has a
comments?
comment.
Comments?
Should we do the comments now or after?
Sure, we can do comments now.
Okay.
You wanna do-
I'm not a fan of increasing rates in any way, shape, or form, and I'm sure no one in the community is a fan of that as well. But I think we are doing this in the most responsible way, and I believe that staff has gone above and beyond to ensure that community members have access to this information and have access to how they can get engaged in the different sessions that are going to be provided. So I'm very comfortable with that piece of it as well. At the end of the day, we need to be able to have access to clean water, and we need to be able to flush our toilets. So this is something that I think we do need to move forward, and with that, when the time comes, I am happy to move the recommendations from staff.
Thank you. Any other comments this time? All right, what's the will of the council?
I can make the motion to approve staff's recommendations.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Please do a voice roll call, please.
Yes. Councilmember Martinez Bravo,
Yes.
Councilmember Santangelo,
Yes.
Councilmember Tremblay, Vice Mayor Tennyson,
Yes.
and Mayor Kildee.
Yes. All right, that passed unanimously. Okay, so we do not have a public hearing tonight. I'll ask councilors in report at a closed session we need to make at this point.
There is no reportable action taken in closed
Okay.
session. Thank you.
So with that, I'm going to ask Vice Mayor Tennyson if he'd like to talk a little bit about the life and times of James A. Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. James Walker passed away on March 1st, and I believe we have a picture of him. Oh, it's over here. I was looking elsewhere. Jim Walker passed away on March 1st, 2025. His daughter-in-law called me to let me know about his passing. My relationship with Jim goes back to my time assigned to Camarillo Police Department. Jim was a dedicated and decorated Navy veteran. He was a senior or a master chief fire control technician. And for anybody that's familiar with the military, master chief is an E9 rank amongst enlisted personnel. It's the highest rank any enlisted person in any branch of the military can achieve. He was stationed lastly at Port Hueneme. He and his wife lived in Camarillo. And once he retired, he wanted to continue his public service. And he joined the Camarillo Citizen Patrol in 1997 and served for 10 years. And during that 10 years, Jim amassed over 6,500 hours of volunteer time for the residents of Camarillo. He was recognized in 2005 as a Citizen Patrol Volunteer of the Year, and this recognition also came from the National Association of Citizens Patrol. Jim was the most reliable. Back in the early 2000s, we had a resident donate a Class C motorhome that became the police department command post until about probably 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Every time we had a call out, whether it was a planned community event, a major crime, regardless of time of day or night, the first call after the law enforcement officers responded was to Jim Walker to get the command post out to the scene of wherever it was needed. Could be 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Jim got that command post out there, had it set up, made sure all of the deputies had plenty of donuts so they could get through the night. But Jim was just really, really dedicated to the residents of Camarillo. And if you add up the hours, 6,500 hours over a 10-year period of time, an average full-time employee works about 1,700 hours a year. And he did 6,500 hours of all volunteer time. I had the great honor of serving with Jim from the time I was in Camarillo in 1999 through 2005. I had the privilege of running into him frequently in the community, and I was fortunate about a year ago, he called me. He had a home in Williams, Arizona, and still a home in Camarillo. He called me to have coffee. I wish we'd have been able to have coffee a little more frequently. I honor Jim for his service in the Navy. I particularly honor Jim for his service to the residents of Camarillo. I do have a bone to pick with him. He would never, ever agree with me that my beloved United States Marine Corps was better than the Navy. It was an ongoing battle we had from the time I first met him. I win, Jim. I get the last word. The Marine Corps was better, sir. Thanks to Jim and his family. His service is coming up March 29th at Canale Mountain Memorial.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Tennyson. Yeah, I remember Jim tirelessly, and boy, was he a giver. And I don't think he ever slept much, and he never said no. Just an absolute wonderful person. So with that, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. The first time we've been back to our new Chamber's first time of many, many and decades and decades. So thanks again for being here. And those that are watching us on TV, again, thank you for tuning in. So if there's no further business that comes before us, we'll adjourn.